Hey, Pinpoint Sports Podcast. My name is Eric Bruton. Good to see you guys. Coming off of an interesting weekend in the National Football League. Still one Monday night game to go. The much talked about New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills tonight. But yesterday was interesting. I think a better slate of games in the league yesterday than what we've been getting over the last couple of weeks. Um, so we'll discuss that. Also interesting week in college as well. Some uh, some interesting developments there. We'll touch on those as well too. But before we get started, I would love to say to you guys to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit me up in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts on everything going on in the world of sports. Uh, yeah, that's always fun. So you guys do that for me. Um, like I said, interesting week in the NFL this past week. The Cowboys got tapped again yesterday, unsurprisingly. Um, unsurprisingly, by what I think is a legitimate Super Bowl contender in the Detroit Lions. I was not sold at the beginning of this year. I kind of was still in that whole, lovable, nice, overachiever story last year with the Lions, where they got all the way to the NFC Championship. I was coming into this year, I didn't think they were going to be able to duplicate that, but they look every bit like a monster. They look every bit like a team who could represent the NFC in the Super Bowl in February. So kudos to them. The Cowboys look like anything but a team that could represent the NFC in February. They looked terrible yesterday. They looked terrible all year, but yesterday may have been the low point. And I'm not somebody who falls in either camp with the Cowboys. I don't love them, but I don't hate them. Uh, I just find the attention that they get from the national media extremely annoying. I understand it. They are the Dallas Cowboys. They built that moniker back in the 70s. It's held up. Jerry Jones, since he bought that team, has made sure that moniker has held up. He does everything that he possibly can do to keep that team in everybody's focus. And so, it is what it is. But they are terrible right now. And that part in itself is not intriguing to me. What's intriguing about the Cowboys and what's intriguing to me about a couple of other teams around the league as well is that they are in a very precarious position right now where I do think they're going to have to think about going forward whether or not they want to tie up all of their money in a mediocre quarterback and not have any financial ability to be able to put that money in other areas of their football team that are sorely lacking. Um, you know, People think I hate Dak Prescott. I don't hate Dak Prescott. I just think he's a mediocre quarterback who you cannot win with. And you certainly can't win with him when you put everything on his shoulders. In fairness to him, he's not the only quarterback in the league like that. There's several guys. You look around the league, I'm looking at you, Trevor Lawrence. Like the Jacksonville Jaguars are paying him a fortune and they are god awful right now. I'm looking at you, Daniel Jones from New York Giants. Like, if you watch that Giants game last night against the Bengals, that interception he threw in the red zone was just unforgivable. But that's the kind of play you get week in, week out with Daniel Jones, and the Giants are paying him a fortune. Are we allowed to now start asking a question about Jalen Hurts? I know the Eagles won yesterday, but they did not look good. Um, is he a guy that they're overpaying? Is he a guy with all of these guys, are they guys that you can say to them, hey, we're going to put the entire weight of the offense on your shoulders. And you're going to have to elevate guys around you that may have lesser talent because we're paying you the amount of money that we're paying you. And I don't know if any of those guys are able to do that. I don't know if any of those guys are able to rise to that occasion. Kyler Murray, the Arizona Cardinals are paying Kyler Murray a fortune. And he's up and down from week to week, and you just don't know why. Um, and so that part of it is interesting to me. Are we going to see a shift in the way that these franchises and these organizations do business? Are they going to just simply say, "Hey, look, we're not paying a good guy, a good player, a good quarterback, great player money, all-time great quarterback money." You know, you look at what Kansas City did last year with Mahomes. that receiving core. There was so many questions about it, and they struggled. They had their struggles throughout the regular season last year. The Chiefs did, but once the playoffs rolled around, that guy took that offense and he took those guys around him of lesser talent. No Tyreek Hill, and he got them to where they needed to go. He got them to another Super Bowl. That's the kind of a performance that you're looking for if you're going to pay these guys all of that money. People like to bag on Aaron Rodgers for the fact that the Packers only won one Super Bowl the entire year, the entire time that he was there. But year after year, Aaron Rodgers would take guys with lesser talent. He didn't have until Devontae Adams got there. He didn't have a number one wide receiver. He would take guys who were marginal, and that team would be in the hunt every year. That guy won 4 MVPs with pretty much marginal talent around him outside of Devontae Adams. So I just think that's what you're looking for. That's the kind of performance you're looking for when you're paying these guys this type of money. Because you're tying up the salary cap on one player, which is that doesn't make sense to begin with. When you tie up that much money in the salary cap into that one guy. But when you do that, you're asking this guy to put everything on your shoulders. What have we ever seen from Dak Prescott in his career that makes you think he can put that team on his shoulders and get them to a Super Bowl? Nothing. I don't. You would be much better served, in my opinion, if you would cut Dak Prescott's salary in half. Instead of paying him $60 million, you pay him $25 million, $30 million. Now, I can pay CeeDee Lamb. I can go out and I can put another stud wide receiver on the side of CeeDee Lamb, pay him. I can, pay Derrick Henry the amount of money that he was looking for from the Cowboys. Imagine Derrick Henry in that backfield right now for the Cowboys alongside CeeDee Lamb on the outside. And, they wouldn't have the issues that they would have in terms of running the football because they can't run the football with a damn. But Jerry Jones and people mocked him for it. But the reality is the guy said what he said, and I have to take him at his word. Jerry Jones said they didn't have enough money to pay Derrick Henry. But imagine what he would do if he were on that team. You look at the defensive side of the ball where they cannot stop a nosebleed right now. And I know they're missing Michael Parsons. I know they're missing DeMarcus Lawrence. But imagine being able to pay Michael Parsons, which I don't think is a foregone conclusion, by the way. I could easily foresee a scenario where in the near future, Michael Parsons is not a Dallas Cowboy. Because if you're Jerry Jones, you're sitting there and you're thinking, look, I paid Dak Prescott, I paid CeeDee Lamb, and this is the kind of return I'm getting on investment. I could easily see Michael Parsons not being there next year or in the near future. But if there were enough money to go around, you could pay Michael Parsons. You could pay another stud pass rusher to put on alongside Michael Parsons. You can move DeMarcus Lawrence into the middle of the line, and now you're talking about one of the best pass rushing defenses in the league. You're talking about an elite defensive pass rush, but you don't have that in large part because you're paying your quarterback $60 million to give you the kind of mediocre performances he's giving you. He has not been good this year at all. At all. And when he has put up impressive numbers, it's been in garbage time. It was in garbage time against the Ravens where he put up those numbers. It was in garbage time during that first game against the Saints where he put up numbers. He was terrible yesterday. Absolutely terrible. He was not the main reason that they got beat, but he was not good. And I don't say this to single him out. Like this is in my opinion a problem for teams all across the league that don't have the guy, that don't have that guy that can elevate everybody around him. And I say this, I'm not anti-player. I love it when players get their money, especially when the owners are making so much money. But at some point you have to be smart about this, particularly when you're looking at it from the organization standpoint. You have to be smart. It just does not make sense to tie up that amount of money in one position where that one position is not all-time great. And I think it's pretty safe to say that Dak Prescott is not all-time great. So that's just my thought on it. Again, I love to hear you guys in the comments. You tell me, let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm an idiot. I'm open to I'm open to any kind of sort of criticism you guys may have. But that's just my take on it. You guys let me know.